and all over the country in the wake of the brutal gang rape of a young woman student on the moving bus in the national capital. The Anna Hazare movement against corruption, people's struggles in Narmada Bachao Andolan, POSCO movement, and the agitation against the nuclear power plants at Kudamkulam and proposed plant at Kovada of Srikakulam district, Andhra Pradesh. Agitations erupted against the court judgments in the cases of Dalit massacres at Bathanitola of Bihar and Chundur of Andhra Pradesh. Women's growing assertion and aspirations for equality challenging entrenched patriarchy can be seen and felt in virtual every sphere. Assertion of women and resistance to patriarchy as it manifests itself within the family, household, community, work, public institutions, and the state is the key arena for the battle for democracy and revolutionary social transformation in India today, and must be grasped as key revolutionary task of the communist movement as a whole. The gang rape in national capital on 16th December 2012 has underlined how the question of sexual violence and women's autonomy is indeed a crucial question of democracy and social transformation. Apart from the mass popular dimension of movement, what was significant was the centrality of the slogan for women's freedom acquired and the unleashing popular protest against the pervasive tendency of public figures, politicians, godmen, administrative authorities, and judges to justify such violence by blaming the victim, invoking patriarchal codes of dress, behavior, and moral values. It must be also noted that patriarchal tendencies, often accompanied by caste and communal revivalism, are strong even in the urban areas, including among the professional middle class. An outright patriarchal backlash to women's assertion can also be seen in the Save Family type of organizations that target the law against violence on women. Coming to the question of environmental degradation and ecological imbalance, destruction of livelihood, grab of land and resources, eviction of from land, pollution that endangers health and safety, and devastation of environment and is all being justified by the ruling classes in the name of the development. Asserting people's agenda of development calls for firm measures to reverse corporate led development of the counter the rampant privatization of resources, assets, and services, and for placing people's own concern and local participatory democratic decisions making at the center of development. The basic principle of development must be redefined as ensuring people's control over the resources and the use of revenue from such resources for social welfare as priority. For the past few decades, the growing damage to ecosystems and living environments and the diminishing access to resources that sustain human lives have brought to the fore serious concerns about the environmental degradation and ecological imbalance. The fallout of the damage to ecosystems and environment has to be borne mainly by the most deprived and vulnerable sections of the society. Fishermen communities who depends on the forest, people who depends on the forest, common pastures, of water and forest resources inevitably fall within the same market and profit based framework which exacerbated the problems in the first place. Moreover, these solutions often end up forcing the poorest of the poor and the most marginalized people, who are usually also the victims of the environmental degradation and ecological damage, to bear the whole burden of environmental protection. It is the responsibility of the revolutionary left to oppose and reject this framework and forcefully articulate environmental and ecological concerns from a completely different framework rooted in the interests of the most vulnerable and deprived sections of the society. We have to articulate a vision of development that does not destroy the source of people's livelihood, a model development that is safe as well as sensitive to the real need of the rural and urban poor. When the question of social justice is taken, rural India continues to witness brutal forms of caste and gender based oppression and violence. Communal forces are also active in the rural areas to propagate communal prejudices and fan communal hatred. Brutalities continue to resurface in various spheres of social life. In Bihar, feudal kulak forces forming private armies using caste networks and political patronage, and such armies often enjoying a high degree of impunity and a veritable immunity from the machinery of law enforcement, showcases a pathetic example of social justice in the country. The judgment in the cases of Batanitola of Bihar and Chundur in Andhra Pradesh shows the blatant reactionary role of the state. The questions of the human dignity and human rights of oppressed sections of the society, Dalits and women in particular, must be therefore be understood as the core agent of the communist rural work. The battle for democracy, dignity, social progress can only be carried forward by relentlessly challenging the feudal patriarchal hegemony in the countryside. The idea of the left is associated historically with the class struggle alone, but class struggle is also a form of social movement. Reducing class struggle to economic sphere devoid of social dimension is not revolutionary Marxism, but a mechanistic caricature of ossification of left movement and Marxist ideology. The term social movement covers areas of social action dealing primarily with social identities like caste, gender, and even environment related issues. Many of these issues have gained prominence in recent decades, and perhaps there was not much focus on many of these questions. Environment, for example, in the early phases of left politics. But now that such issues have come to the forefront, the left must broaden its agenda to address such concerns and develop an organic synthesis between the class struggle, left politics, and what I understood as social movement. From the point of social movement too, the question should be asked that movement should reverse the goal of social transformation. Radical social transformation is the unifying theme that should orient both social movement and the left. Central Committee CPML Liberation. Thank you.
Thank you. The message is over. I don't want to make any comments on the messages, but on the whole, this particular platform has succeeded in bringing together different political parties, though the tone of all the messages is about the future course of action to be undertaken by the left forces in this country. Some of them spoke about, for example, Mr. Murthy was speaking about environment and ecology and women and so on. And also the earlier speakers like Malla Reddy and the other gentleman, Abani Roy. One running thread of all these messages I see is that how to rebuild and reorganize the left forces in this country. And that seems to be the center of the messages. That seems to be the key point of the messages given by the fraternal parties and their representatives. And then I don't want to say anything about unity. Unity has been, this slogan of unity has been repeated on and on for the last several years. Unity of what? Unity of action or unity of theory, unity of ideology. I know this has to be further properly debated into. But now, one point I would like to, I'm sure Lakshmaya Garu will speak on this, about the identity movements. I think we have to seriously think about this. Can we really ignore the identity movements and say that they have become a threat to the left forces? But how to, how to make it inclusive? The identity movements now have come to play a major role in the society. Maybe society is fragmented. People may say that it's fragmented because of the identity movements. But why did the identity movements arise? I mean, first of all, where was the need? Well, who gave the space for these identity movements to come up? So that has to be properly, seriously discussed without saying that the identity movements have done a lot of damage to the left, etc. I mean, that's my considered view of the whole thing. I am glad we have finished the messages within the time, except that 10 minutes, 7 or 8 minutes, 10 minutes we have exceeded. But we have started 1 hour late, and therefore now, after the messages, we have a very important item on the agenda, the keynote address to be given by Comrade Anil Rajimwale. I request Comrade to give his keynote address.
Thank you very much, Comrade Chairman. Comrades of the fraternal parties present here, and comrades from left parties, the speakers who will follow, and all the comrades and friends. We are meeting here on a very important occasion to celebrate the 100 years of the birth of one of the most outstanding communist leaders of India and of the world, who is today being remembered not only by the communists and the left, but by the broader sections of political and social opinions. I think he was, Comrade CR was one of such figures of communist movement, and that is how a communist should be. If we are talking today of unity against main enemies, he commanded respect not only among the left, but among the broader political sections of this country. He was highly respected and revered and taken very seriously. I had also briefly occasion to work with and under him for some years, and I found Comrade Rajeshwar Rao an inspiring figure, a figure who could galvanize cadres and members and the whole movement, even if it was under the most adverse conditions. He was a figure whom people followed, masses followed, whether the people were illiterate agricultural laborers or whether they were students and youth and teachers and literate intelligentsia. They all looked to him for guidance, for leadership, and it is not without reason that his great contributions are being remembered today. I think one of the great jobs of the CPI and the left parties should be to take the messages of and contributions of Comrade CR to the broadest masses, because the ideological struggle is one of the areas where the left has to do a lot of rethinking. And I feel that the contributions of communists and left figures, contributions and struggles of the left and the communist parties are not being taken properly to the common people. History has become an object, a field of intense ideological, political, class and mass struggle. And therefore, this occasion should be utilized to carry this ideological struggle to the people. Because today, in our country, a right-wing, reactionary dispensation has come to power, which has a tendency towards fascism. But to its credit, it must be said that the right reactionary forces have really taken the ideological struggle to the masses and have been able to an extent influence and poison a section of the people with communal, fascist, obscurantist viewpoint. On this point, we have to learn from them. And I would use this occasion to remind those present here and members of broader movement that historical figures are figures not only of history, but they are figures of the present also, around whose contributions and role much of political, theoretical and ideological struggle is being fought in today's conditions. Comrades, the role of left cannot be properly placed without proper analysis and characterization of the present day world situation and the changes that have taken place in our country today. Besides that, we have also to look into the great historical transformations that are taking place on the stage of world history, on the stage of great changes that are taking place in the field of science, technology, ideology, environment, and so many other things. And therefore, and some of the messages and some of the points made in the morning session point to those new tendencies that are to be identified, worked upon, and made the agenda or part of the agenda of the broader left movement. I think we are passing through a scientific technological revolution, an information and communication revolution on world scale. No question, in my opinion, can be correctly posed without taking the STR and ICR into consideration and without studying deeply the great impact these revolutions, the STR and ICR, is having on the composition, character and direction of the present day world society and Indian society. I think in this connection, we have to remind ourselves or the methodology adopted by a great thinker Karl Marx, who first and foremost analyzed the industrial revolution of his time and drew certain philosophical, economic, and political conclusion. And therefore, I think the communists and the left have a great responsibility to seek out and analyze what is new in the present day world. Without doing this, we cannot attract the new sections of the people. We cannot attract the youth. The point was raised in the morning session that the left today and the communist movement today, the slogan of socialism and communism is no more so attractive as it was during the Soviet days. One of the reasons I feel is that instead of looking backwards into the past history, which is necessary on occasions, it is more essential to see what is new today and what are the, to anticipate the future trends of development. And I think if we talk about scientific socialism and if we talk about a dialectical materialist methodology that demands such a kind of approach, I think we are living, everybody will agree, that we are living in a world, in an era, and that era continues to exist with all its changes, in an era of imperialism, monopoly capitalism, and finance capital. Lot of changes are taking place, lot of changes have taken place. We cannot hang on to certain outdated concepts presented by Lenin or Marx. Yet, many of the fundamental concepts are to be found in Lenin and Marx, which it is our responsibility to develop further. The point that I want to make is that if the left has to come together, it has to decide what for. Today, we are living an imperialist era, in an era where in our country and elsewhere, monopoly capitalism is monopolizing further. It means that greater and greater masses